There's some stuff there.
Let's talk about Jimmy's new castmates in Philly, specifically Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, who have become the unquestioned cornerstones of the process. Here is their reaction to the Butler trade from Saturday.
I spoke to him today a little bit. He said he just wants to win, and I think that's the mindset we all have here. So we're excited to get Jimmy in here. A guy like him who can come in, score the ball, veteran leadership, experience. I think he's gonna fit in here.
He's gonna help us a lot offensively, especially defensively too. He's one of the best defensive players in the league. So you know, I'm excited to see where he takes us.
I thought it was interesting, by the way, when people talked to the Timberwolves players after the trade was done, that Karl-Anthony Towns came out saying wonderful things about Jimmy Butler. So everyone's all happy right now.
Oh, they're all punked there. They're not going to say anything. They didn't say anything then.
What do you think we're going to see with those guys like Joel, like Ben Simmons, and Jimmy's leadership style?
I mean, they could be special. What I do, and I think Jackie would agree with me, call Kevin Garnett or Paul Pierce to come meet with you. You know, they brought three guys together, three superstars together, got on the same page, were unselfish, and won a championship. And if their health was better, they would have won more. They have a chance to beat a dominant team, perhaps in the East, maybe in a year or so. But they had to be on the same page. So I think all three of them need to spend some time together off the court and figure each other out. And Jimmy has to fit in more than those guys fit in Jimmy.
Jimmy's got to be on his best behavior, as we discussed earlier. He's kind of running out of teams and chances. I think Embiid is smart enough to understand this gets him a lot closer to his goal, which is to win a championship, than he was yesterday. So that makes sense to me. The big problem remains with this team is where's the perimeter shooting come from? Now, Jimmy Butler's a decent shooter, but he's not, you know, he's not that lights-out shooter that you're talking about. You have to take Markelle Fultz and put him back off the bench, and you got to put JJ Redick into the starting lineup with these guys.
Yeah, I mean,
they become your death lineup.
I don't think there's any question that Markelle Fultz would do better playing with that second unit. I know that Brett Brown was trying to play him with the starters as a confidence play, and I get that. Look, that's an important part of the game, right? But he needs to be able to distribute, have the ball in his hands. Ben Simmons needs to be able to do that. They can do that separately.
Stakes are a lot higher than they already were now.
Absolutely. Their numbers when they stagger are complete. No. I mean, it's very obvious.
And it's funny you mention that because it's one of the reasons I'm bullish on Saric going to the Timberwolves. Saric and Simmons never quite got it right playing together. Look at his numbers before the year that Simmons was out. So sometimes it is really as simple as that.
Yeah, absolutely. Embiid also said he spoke to Wiggins after initial reports of the trade. This is Joel's quote. Wiggs told me he thought that we were going to win the East for sure. Jackie, you live in Boston.
I do.
With a team that feels perhaps they will win the East this year.
They certainly aren't playing like it right now.
Well, that's a whole different story.
They are. They're struggling quite a bit.
There's a team in Toronto that has designs on the East.
Well, I think Toronto has earned the right for now to be the favorite. They've lost one game, right?
I saw them last week. They're great.
And you know which Kawhi was coming back? The Kawhi that came back is the one we thought was one of those top 5 two-way players. But I think that Philadelphia, when you look down the road in the future, because of the picks they have, they're going to still have cap space. I mean, it's amazing what this team can play. I expect them to pick up a veteran shooter at some point. I mean, I don't think they're done for the season by any stretch.
We got to mention Milwaukee.
Yep.
Yeah, you do, sure.
Dark horse in Indiana.
Yep.
I saw Toronto last week. They're fantastic. Dare I say, and push me if you need to, is the top 5 teams in the East now better than the top 5 teams in the West?
Oh, I think there's a legitimate question. The East, you don't know who's going to win the East. It has been how many years since we could say that?
And the 3 best teams are in the same division.
Right? Which is crazy. I mean, I think it's so much fun. It's great. You know, as I mentioned earlier, Jimmy could have been sent anywhere. Could have been sent to an NBA Siberia. The fact that he was bolstered a contender, basically.
Right, and pointedly in the East. That was always Tibbs' goal, was to get him to the East, not the West.
And you know, the idea of them adding more shooters is something that has to happen. You expect them to make those tweaks before the trade deadline. It's interesting to me, though, because we kept saying, oh, when's that Kyle Korver deal to Philadelphia going to get done? Well, Kyle Korver is out again with foot issues. And that is the 3rd time, I think, in the last couple seasons. That goes back to Cleveland management. If you knew this summer that you were going to maybe be a rebuilding team or a tanking team, you could have dealt him this summer and probably been in a more advantageous position. He wanted to be dealt this summer. That didn't happen. I'm curious if Philadelphia looks at Cleveland now and says, I'm not sure we're going to give up so much.
Would you be willing to trade folks?
If you're Philadelphia?
Yes.
It
For
depends
what?
on what you're trading him for.
For what?
What are you trading me for?
There might be somebody out there that still has faith that he could be that guy.
But you'd have to tell me what you're giving me, right?
Yeah,
Would I trade him for LeBron James?
Well, I mean, he was not in this deal.
Can I
He was
fly
not
him?
in this deal,
Can I
and
fly
that's
him to you?
significant, right? But he wasn't in this deal, and I think there's some significance to that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Mark, take a look at Minnesota here. This is Cat and Wiggins' numbers with and without Butler this season. How high should expectations be of these two moving forward now with those extra pieces they got from Philly?
Well, they'll only go as far as Derrick Rose will take them.
Oh, boy.
Pick Derrick Rose up in fantasy. His numbers are about to jump. I don't know that anybody in the West is shaking in their boots. If perhaps Wiggins would have grew up in the States instead of Canada, maybe be a lot tougher.
Oh, boy.
Wow.
I just think he...
Why do you get insult an entire country like that?
Yeah.
Because they make good comedians, but they don't make they don't make toughness.
The home of the NHL does not make toughness?
That's hockey. This is basketball. They would have played hockey if that was the
Sweeping,
case.
controversial statements.
That's an interesting
But
Mark thinks he's on
he
first
has to become something he's not. And he's not a jerk. He's not an angry person. He's not Jimmy Butler. He's not somebody who's going to cut the player's head off. Just like the Lakers got the same problem with Lonzo Ball. You can't make these nice guys mean.